Okay, hello ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm Brendan Lee from thebrendanlee.com in support of consciousness and skill worldwide. That's a worldwide effort. It actually is. That's the cool part. I want it to grow significantly. This question came off a discussion board that I have on my website for the purpose of SEO. What is the essence of mastery? So this came from a gentleman who signed up for my free online course, the Foundations for Effective Living course. It's on my website. You are invited to check it out. I hope it provides some value to you in your life. So we're talking about mastery. We're going to dig into mastery a little bit. What is the essence of mastery? Some people are very good at what they do, even excellent. However, very few could be called masters or geniuses. What does it take to achieve such level of skill as that of Gautama Buddha, Ralston, or Da Vinci? Are discipline or obsession components of mastery? Once we reach a plateau, we seem to get stuck in our level of understanding regardless of how much time, energy, and practice we invest into our chosen field. Yes, been there. What's preventing a very skillful person from achieving real mastery? Any consideration will be appreciated, considered. Winky face. Okay. Alright, what is the essence of mastery? Well, good question. Let's just take a look here. It seems to me that the essence of mastery is having an experience that allows for mastery to occur. And what I mean by experience is the perceptive experience, the one like when I look out my eyes and ears and the way I feel and think and all of the components that, objects, space, reality, what we call reality, what you and I like the stuff right now. Say if you're watching this, you're either on a phone, a tablet, or a computer, and it's a flat screen, and you're listening to me and you're watching the visuals, and there's also whatever's around you, whatever environment you're in, that whole thing, every aspect of that's experience. It's the stuff that we live in. It's the stuff that we're in right now. See, so now the experience that allows, and then the essence of mastery seems to be that it would be having an experience that allows for mastery to arise. Since mastery is a relational event, you can't have mastery without one thing and another thing. It's like relating one thing to another. It's a relationship. You see, so like the master chef has a relationship with food that you and I don't have. They have an experience about food that you and I don't share necessarily. And they can create things with food that we would be like, "Wow, how did you do that?" See, it comes from their own years and years and thousands upon thousands and thousands of hours of training and learning and growing and all that stuff until they can execute things that you and I, they can execute things with ease that you and I are like mind blown. And it might even be a simple thing. Like in another video I was talking about slicing something. It's just, boom, they're so precise. Like, how did you learn that? You see that they mastered the knife. So it's a relational event. And it also means that their experience is such that it allows for that to occur. They make the proper they make the proper distinctions. And I don't mean distinctions like separating things out conceptually. I mean a distinction is like creating a reality that you and I don't have. So that, I would say, is the essence of the mastery itself, is the experience. Because if you had that experience, you could have the same results. So there's a little bit on the essence of mastery. Some people are very good at what they do, even excellent. However, very few could be called masters or geniuses. That's a true statement. Probably inherent in master or genius is that very few people do it, because if everybody did it, it would be normal. So what does it take to achieve such a level of skill as that of Gautama Buddha, Ralston, or Da Vinci? Okay, so What does it take to achieve such a level of skill? Well, shitloads of training, massive amounts of investigation, more training, more open investigation, and then focusing on making sure that you're not just going through the motions of training, but you're actually pushing to learn. So it moves, it trends upward. You may have dips and dives, but you need to be going upward towards improvement. So it's not just training, but it's training to master the thing now. You don't train so that in 20 years you can be a master, like in some Tai Chi circles. They say you have to train for 20 years, the Chi power, and then you can do the Fa Jing and the Wu Wu and the whatever, and then in 20 years you'll be a master. No. You train to be a master now, right now, and you're going to fail at that. But you're going to be going for mastery. You're not going to be going to just maintain something and then 20 years later hope you'll be a master. No, you're a master now, you'll fail. And then you're a master now, you'll fail. You're a master now, and you'll fail. And you stack up a whole bunch of that, and eventually you will be a master. You do it now. You don't wait. So that means you're going to have to square with a lot of failure. You know, like there's those memes with the Yoda character there, and it says a master is the only difference between, you know, you and a master is the master has failed more times than you can count. That's the truth. But they don't fail just to fail. They fail on their attempt at mastery. And they, okay, so yeah, don't get lost in there, and don't just maintain. You go for it. You also stay committed to that. Make sure it happens, and you will be a master. So, you know, what does it take? So much work you'd probably not even want to start. Okay, are discipline or obsession components of mastery? Absolutely. Yeah, because in order for you, you know, I wouldn't say, but don't, you see, okay, let's see. I have some worry about that. Like discipline or obsession components. Well, it does seem that those are very powerful tools. You either have to be obsessed with it, so much so that you do the work, or massively disciplined in such a way that you don't, you know, if you don't have the obsession, well, you have to create the discipline to continue. Through thick and thin, no matter how you feel. You know, you wake up one day and you don't feel like doing it, you got to do the work. Because if you don't do the work, it doesn't happen. So in a very real sense, sure, I would say those are definitely components. But then don't make the mistake of assessing that you yourself don't have the discipline, or you yourself aren't obsessed enough, and so you don't start. That's stupid. Okay, that's a judgment. It's self-defeating. If you don't jump in the lake, you'll never get wet. So I suggest you get to jumping. And don't worry about whether you're obsessed or disciplined enough. Just make sure it happens, and then those things will likely take care of themselves if you're committed to doing the work. So, and also for the purpose of answering this question and this investigation, sure. Yeah, it seems like those are very important components of mastery. You've got to go for it. You've got to do it. And it either takes obsession or discipline. So, yeah. Once we reach a plateau, now here's something I have some real experience with. We seem to get stuck in our level of understanding regardless of how much time, energy, and practice we invest into our chosen field. This is true. However, within the context of this conversation, and working towards mastery, there is only one thing to do with a plateau, and that's to destroy it and go through it. It doesn't matter what kind of plateau it is. Your job is to break it and go move on, move past, move through, destroy, go around, circumvent, push the delete button. Don't care how you do it. Just keep going. That's it. See, and then how do you do that? Well, there's one time the first thing to do, here's the first challenge to get over when working with plateaus is, one, you got to recognize you're in one. That's the first thing to do, is to recognize that you're actually plateaued. Like, oh, now how do you recognize that? Well, ask yourself the question, am I in a plateau right now? How do you recognize one? Well, your growth has stopped. You're doing the same stuff over and over again with no apparent growth, improvement. You don't have any new results coming up. Your ways of thinking are still the same. That's how you know. You're just turning the wheels and you're not going anywhere. That's how you recognize a plateau. Now, how do you break it? You break it. Like, my teacher would tell me, or has told me, he would tell me, one, and I love him for this type of stuff. Hey, Brendan, you're in a plateau. Huh? Yeah, you're plateaued. I can see it. That's real. That's a friend right there. Somebody's going to tell you what's up. Straight up. Oh, I'm in a plateau. All right, Brendan, I want you to get past it. Huh? Yeah, do it. And then I go, well, and then I start working, well, how, then the question comes, well, how do I break it? And then I try stuff. I do this, I do that. I try these other things. It's just, it doesn't have to be, there is no formula for breaking a plateau. It's just, I think the main component is you need to recognize that you can break it, and you need to go for it. So something as simple as, because I think people sometimes want a little bit more complex explanations for things. Here at Cheng Shin, we have something, you have a negative experience. Well, stop it. Huh? I can stop it? Yeah, stop it. Cut it out. See, because people, they have a negative experience, and they, oh, teacher, tell me how to get out of my experience. How can I make this go away? Cut it out. Or, oh, I'm not relaxed enough. How do I relax? Relax more. Duh. Or, how do I break the plateau? Go ahead, break it. Huh? Yeah, you can do it like that. Just jump right to breaking it. You don't need to wait. There's no formula. Attack the problem. Be intelligent. Smarten up. Go for it. You do it. See, so that's how to break a plateau. I can't really say it any other way than that. And, if you try something, it doesn't work, try something else. You try something else, that doesn't work, try something else. If you're really stuck, like there's a story I heard about a judoka, who, so here's a couple of stories, perhaps analogies or metaphors that I think may be useful for your mind when considering plateaus here. One, there's a judoka, a judo practitioner. Judo is a martial art where they grab a lot of cloth and they try to whip the bodies and for the most part throw them down, but then there's a little bit of grappling in there, which is fighting on the ground, like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is actually judo, but that's another story. Okay, so it's like grabbing. So he's a martial art. He has an art. It's a physical practice, and he's plateaued, and nothing he could do worked. He couldn't break his plateau, and eventually he lost so much heart that the best he could do was just go into class, and he would just lay down on his back on the mat and just lay there. And that's what he did. And contemplate the problem, as far as I understand. And eventually, boom, he had a breakthrough. Just laying there. Because that's where he got to. He got so bad that he was just, okay, that's it. That's the best I got. And boom, he had a breakthrough. Boom, broke his plateau, kept going. Another aspect of breaking a plateau or making growth or headway or breakthrough is, and I have this from doing martial arts or training like a certain technique. It's like somehow in the technique I can sense that there's something missing, or like Peter would draw a pie chart, and it's like, okay, you have a pie, and then there's a triangle out of that pie that's missing, and then so I'm going around, seeing, okay, there's this missing piece, and then I go around here, and I can't quite connect the dots. I go to here, I can't get there. I go back around this side, and I'm trying to connect the dots, what's that missing piece? And then so it starts to become clear that the breakthrough that I need to make is in the area that I'm missing. And for some reason that can come across like a feeling sense or some sort of intuitive sense of there's something missing here. What is that missing piece? And I can really focus on that. You see, so perhaps in a plateau, it's like, I've plateaued, now what do I need to grow here? It's like, I've got all this, but like, what's the missing component here? See, it's like, what's missing? Perhaps not necessarily where do I need to go, but where do I need to go could be like, well, what is missing? What isn't here that should be here that would allow me to break through or to grow? And somehow there is an intelligence that exists that allows me to intuit those things. And I suspect it's the same for everybody. They just don't necessarily put their attention there or their questioning powers in that direction. Okay, so that's a bit about plateaus and breaking plateaus so that you don't get stuck. And getting stuck is like that thing. You know, train for 20 years doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. You know, and then you'll be a master. That's like one big plateau. And like my teacher would say, he's like, don't train, improve. You know, master it now. If you hit a plateau, go through the plateau and continue. And if you do enough of that, you will master something. What's preventing a very skillful person from achieving real mastery? Any consideration will be appreciated. What's preventing a very skillful person from achieving real mastery? What I think would prevent a person from achieving real mastery probably is a lack of hard work, lack of training, like duration of training, lack of intelligence, not training to improve, but just training to maintain. There's other components that could be involved. Now this is more deeper, maybe not necessarily psychological, but more ontological, or about like the self or the person that they are. You see, there are certain aspects of myself that could be limiting me in terms of my ability to train and to improve, that would be useful to confront, reveal, and then dispel so that I can train and improve better. You know, that could be more the unseen aspects of being a person that, like, for example, you know, there was a woman who I dated for a while, and her makeup and perceptive experience was limited in the fact that she saw a world that didn't mesh well with reality, like objective reality, so that no matter what task was given to her, she would only complete part of the task and then would destroy the rest, or like she would just leave stuff out chronically. And in order for her to actually master physical tasks, she would have to confront that aspect of herself, but in this case it was so deep-seated that it was like almost like a reality. So these are also possibilities, or this is a possibility in terms of other stuff that could be a limitation. So, you know, when I get the question, well, what limits us in terms of mastery is our own self and our own experience. And again, going back to my original assertion and consideration regarding mastery is yourself, you as a person and your experience are the limitation to mastery, because whatever it is that you experience now, if it isn't aligned with being a master now, then whatever you got going on is going to need to change. The way you think, the way you perceive, the way your perspective on the world, your perspective about yourself, and then the distinctions that you make within this world, so that you can see what to do. You can feel how to be. You know, if you're talking fighting or physical mastery, that's all in the feeling domain. Yeah, it's a big feeling. In terms of intellectual mastery, it's probably in the thinking domain, you know, or, you know, say a master mathematician, they're going to be doing it in the conceptual domain. You know, and that's different. So it just depends on where you're doing the mastery. So those are some of the limitations. I could also see I'm not calling this, I am not, okay, I want to say this, but I don't want you to box it up and then hold it as sacred or anything, because one of the things that aids the process is having a good teacher as well. Having somebody that can push you farther, much faster than if you're doing it all on your own. That does seem to be a factor, although it doesn't need to be a factor. It just seems to be that you could have mastery more quickly if you were to study with somebody that's been there, and they can accelerate your progress, so that then you can get on the shoulders of the giants, like my teacher Peter would say, get on the shoulders of the giants and then look out from there and then jump off and be your own giant or something like that. The be your own giant part is something I added just now. Okay? Yeah. Good. Thanks for the questions. In receiving the questions and doing these videos, it allows me an opportunity for myself to consider the matter as well. So I appreciate that and thank you for that. Because at the same time as I'm making the video, I'm also doing the work with you live. Well, by the time you see this, it won't be live anymore, but you get what I'm saying. Thank you very much. I hope this has been useful. Brendan Lee from thebrendanlee.com, in support of consciousness and skill worldwide. Take care.